100-year-old man is drawing his final breaths. The room is swallowed by darkness. A single candle flickers, barely holding back the night. Nearby stands a man with a white beard, silently waiting. The instant the old man dies, the bearded figure moves. The body is cut open, organs are removed, and notes begin to appear on paper, written backwards. From right to left, that man was Leonardo da Vinci, history's most cursed genius. A mind so far ahead of time that even Newton, Einstein, and Tesla feel like distant observers in comparison. Leonardo never limited himself to one or two disciplines. He crossed into many worlds simultaneously. He explored the design of God, searched for the location of the soul inside the human body, calculated the mathematics of beauty, uncovered the secret of flight, designed weapons capable of erasing civilizations, and mapped every organ, nerve, and blood vessel in the human form. He even documented visions of his own death. All of this knowledge was sealed inside his private notebooks, 13,000 pages, written in manuscript, more than 5 centuries old. These were not notebooks. They were Leonardo's consciousness pressed into paper. 60 years after his death in 1580, an Italian artist named Pompeo Leone purchased a bundle of old papers for almost nothing. The moment he opened them, his breath caught. Every page was written in reverse, readable only through a mirror. Inside were anatomical drawings so precise they looked as if the human body had been sliced open layer by layer. There were blueprints for weapons powerful enough to collapse empires. There were machines centuries ahead of their time. Flying devices, gliders, mechanical men, and early forms of machine guns. Strange prophecies appeared, alongside mathematical formulas written in unfamiliar symbols. But the most unsettling detail was the dried blood smeared across the pages, as though the writer had touched decaying flesh before putting ink to paper. Leone gathered the papers and assembled them into 2 massive volumes. One became the Codex Atlanticus, containing Leonardo's scientific and engineering work. The other became the Codex Arundel, preserving his anatomical, artistic, and philosophical studies. In the process, Leone mixed dates, subjects, and sequences, permanently destroying Leonardo's original structure. After Leone's death, his family broke the volumes apart and sold them piece by piece. Leonardo's legacy scattered across Europe, from Italy to Spain, then to France and England. 300 years later, scholars began to study these notebooks deeply. They noticed disturbing patterns. Leonardo's anatomical drawings openly contradicted church beliefs. They showed unborn babies inside the womb, the mechanics of the heart, and the circulation of blood. Many weapon designs were intentionally wrong. Gears were reversed. Firing mechanisms were flawed. Hundreds of drawings and projects were left unfinished. Bloodstains still remained. Scholars developed a theory. Leonardo intentionally encrypted his knowledge. In 16th century Italy, the church held absolute power. Anything written against the Bible led to trials, torture, or death. Giordano Bruno was burned alive. Galileo was imprisoned. Leonardo already knew his discoveries would lead to execution, so he hid everything in code. In 1938, a book finally revealed a deeper truth. Leonardo was born on April 15, 1452, in Vinci, Italy. He was an illegitimate child. No surname, no legal status, no right to education or inheritance. Left-handed, a trait the church considered a sign of the devil. His father abandoned him. His mother left. His childhood became punishment for a crime he never committed, because the world refused to teach him. Leonardo learned to observe. Observation became his language. Patterns became his alphabet. He studied grass fibers, stone textures, and tiny natural details others ignored. While people laughed, his eyes looked beyond surfaces and into structure. At the age of 12, he noticed that the thickness of a tree trunk equals the combined thickness of its branches. This observation later became known as Leonardo's rule, a principle used in biology. Blood circulation, city traffic, and digital networks, at 13. He understood why distant mountains look blue and blurred. He was observing optical scattering. This became the principle of atmospheric perspective, later used in all realistic landscape painting. Before Galileo, before Newton, before science had words for these ideas, at 14, Leonardo became an apprentice to the artist Andrea del Verrocchio. He cleaned floors, washed clothes, and prepared materials before touching a brush. Verrocchio noticed something strange. Leonardo often left work unfinished. Half-drawn sketches, half-built models, half-painted works. This flaw stayed with him for life. In the painting The Baptism of Christ, Leonardo painted only one angel. That single figure showed such depth and realism that his master abandoned painting entirely. Leonardo used science to create emotion on a flat canvas. In 1476, everything changed. Leonardo was accused of homosexual activity, a crime punishable by torture or death. Though he survived, society destroyed him. For years, he isolated himself, and something inside him transformed. He stopped collecting information. He began decoding reality. He illegally dissected corpses, opened skulls, mapped the brain. His drawings resemble MRI scans made 500 years later. He searched for the soul, for emotion, for identity. To Leonardo, beauty was geometry. The human face followed mathematical ratios. The body was a living equation. Light, he discovered, never creates hard edges, only smooth gradients. From this understanding, he created a technique where forms emerge from light instead of outlines. Science became his way of seeing the world. Yet alongside beauty, Leonardo designed machines of destruction. Weapons capable of mass death. Historians struggled to understand this contradiction. A man who loved animals, freed birds from cages, and lived peacefully, yet designed tools to erase humanity. Was he a hero? Or something darker? Why did he hide knowledge that could move civilization forward by centuries? And why, at the end of his life, did he call himself a failure? Leonardo's notebooks continued to grow darker. The questions inside them stopped being about art or anatomy. They became questions about power. If nature follows rules, then humans can be controlled by rules. If the body is a machine, then it can be broken, rebuilt, or optimized. Leonardo began studying war not as violence, but as engineering. He wrote that war reveals the true structure of humanity, fear, momentum, chaos, order collapsing into instinct. This is why his weapon designs appear everywhere in his notebooks. Armored tanks, multi-barrel guns, giant crossbows, fortress-breaking machines. But something was wrong. None of them worked correctly. The gears were reversed. The angles were impossible. The firing mechanisms failed. This was not a mistake. Leonardo was hiding something again. He believed knowledge without wisdom destroys civilization, and power without understanding creates monsters. So he designed weapons that could only work if the reader truly understood physics. To the greedy, they were useless drawings. To the intelligent, they were tests. Leonardo never trusted authority, not kings, not generals, not the church. He had seen what power did to people. So instead of serving rulers, he studied systems, water systems, river flows, erosion, floods. He wrote that water is the blood of the earth. He mapped rivers like veins, studied whirlpools like rotating galaxies. Centuries later, fluid dynamics would rediscover what he already knew. But there was one problem. Leonardo could never solve himself. His mind moved faster than his hands. His curiosity moved faster than time. He started hundreds of projects and finished very few. Paintings left incomplete. Machines abandoned halfway. Ideas frozen mid-thought. To the world, this looked like failure. To Leonardo, it was torture. He once wrote that he offended God and mankind because he did not work fast enough as he grew older. His notebooks changed again. Less machines, less anatomy. More reflection. He wrote about loneliness, about isolation, about being unseen. He wrote that truth is dangerous when society is not ready. He believed humanity advances slower than intelligence. And this gap destroys geniuses. Near the end of his life, Leonardo moved to France. His body was weak. His right hand paralyzed. The hand that once drew the human body better than any surgeon could no longer hold a brush. He carried his notebooks with him. Always. They never left his side, not even in death. On his final days, Leonardo reviewed his life. No family. No students who fully understood him. No completed legacy. His inventions were not built. His discoveries were not published. His questions were unanswered. He called himself a failure, not because he lacked talent, but because the world lacked readiness. Leonardo died, believing his knowledge would die with him, but it didn't. It slept, hidden in reversed letters, scattered across continents, waiting for minds capable of reading patterns instead of words. Leonardo da Vinci was not ahead of his time. He was ahead of humanity itself, and that is why his genius felt like a curse, because seeing the future too early means living your entire life misunderstood. Asterisk.